6 Negative effects of porn on your brain, body, relationships, and society. Can porn negatively impact you or have negative side effects on your sexual and mental health, and the health of our society? The short answer is yes, and the longer answer requires an explanation of decades of studies. Whether streaming a new Netflix series, scrolling through social media, or sending memes to friends, everything we consume communicates a message. So, does the media we consume online actually have an effect on us, or is it passively consumed and then quickly forgotten? Countless researchers have been asking similar questions since the dawn of the Internet, and according to their findings, yes, our Internet consumption has an effect on the way we think and behave. From poorer mental health to more negative body image. 34 studies are increasingly clear that what people consume online has the potential to affect them both positively and negatively. So, with that in mind, considering that an estimated 91.5% of men and 60.2% of women consume porn, let's take a few moments to examine how porn may be affecting its consumers. 5 Is porn bad for you? Can porn negatively impact you or have negative side effects on your sexual health, mental health, and the health of our society? The short answer is yes, and the longer answer requires a lot of research and explaining decades of studies. Keep in mind that our organization, Fight the New Drug, is a non-religious and non-legislative non-profit, so we're not here to talk about how anything is bad, not even people who watch porn. Let's simply look at 10 of the many distinct ways that porn can impact consumers, relationships, and society. 1. Porn can negatively impact relationships. According to a study that tracked couples over time, porn consumption was the second strongest indicator that a relationship would suffer. Plus, research consistently shows that porn consumers are twice as likely to later report experiencing a divorce or breakup even after controlling for marital happiness, sexual satisfaction, and other relevant factors. There is no substitute for real connection, and porn isn't worth risking that. Subscribe my YouTube channel. 2. Porn can become habit-forming. Many porn consumers are surprised to find that porn can be incredibly difficult to quit. While most porn consumers are not addicts in a clinically diagnosable sense, many experts agree that pornography consumption is a behavior that can, in fact, qualify as an addiction in serious cases. Regardless of whether someone's porn consumption is classified as an addiction, compulsion, or simply an unhealthy habit, quitting porn can be a difficult process. Even if it feels daunting, there is support out there, making quitting more possible than ever. 3. Porn can fuel violence and abuse. So we know that porn glorifies violence, but research also indicates that porn's sexually violent narratives can bleed into consumers' attitudes and behaviors. In fact, research indicates that porn consumers are more likely to sexually objectify and dehumanize others, more likely to express an intent to rape, 17 less likely to intervene during a sexual assault, 18 19 more likely to victim blame survivors of sexual assault, 2021 more likely to support violence against women, 22 23 more likely to forward sexts without consent, 24 and more likely to commit actual acts of sexual violence. 4. Porn perpetuates racism and toxic stereotypes. For an industry that is often culturally thought of as being allied with the LGBTQ+ community, the mainstream porn industry's depictions of LGBTQ+ individuals and relationships suggest that they are less interested in accurate representation and more interested in profiting at the expense of LGBTQ+ people. Porn often fetishizes sexual orientation or gender identity, uses degrading terms to describe LGBTQ+ people, and misrepresents them through harmful and degrading stereotypes. Likewise, stereotypes are used in content with black performers, and promotes the idea that multicultural, multiracial relationships are taboo or fetishist. Porn often fetishizes many different races and ethnic groups. Check out what Dr. Carolyn West, an expert in domestic violence and sexual assault from University of Washington Tacoma, has to say about racist stereotypes in porn. It doesn't take long to stumble upon any number of racist titles that promote offensive and unwarranted racial stereotypes about black women, relegated to agonzo porn, which are low-budget films with little glamour. Black women most often play the role of prostitutes in videos entitled "A Ebony Sex Workers" and "A Black Girls Working the Streets." Not satisfied to call them the usual gonzo terms of slut/whore/cum dumpster, the performers are called "A Black Ghetto Freaks" and "A Inner City Sluts." To further smear them as lower class, black women are featured in urban settings, run-down buildings, and trash-filled alleys. So porn sexualizes everyone, but the combination of racism, sexism, and often classism, since black women are often shown in distressed communities, leaves black women both sexualized and dehumanized in different ways than other ethnic groups. Subscribe my YouTube channel. 5. Porn harms sexual function and makes people more sexually illiterate. Interestingly enough, porn often leads to less sex and less satisfying sex. Research routinely shows that compulsive pornography consumption is associated with sexual dysfunction for both men and women, 29 difficulties with arousal and sexual performance, 30 and decreased sexual satisfaction. So, perhaps the biggest lie porn sells is that its fantasy world is filled with sex positivity, sexual education, more sex, better sex, etc. What it doesn't mention, however, is that the fantasy world it sells can warp sexual expectations in unhealthy ways. It's no secret that porn is wildly unrealistic and often straight-up toxic, yet 1 in 4 young adults report believing that porn is the most helpful source to learn how to have sex, according to a 2021 study. Another study indicated that young people often reported trying to copy porn in their own sexual encounters, and that the pressure to imitate porn was often an aspect of unhealthy relationships. 6. Porn can change a consumer's brain. Did you know that thanks to a process called neuroplasticity, our brains are constantly changing? When we engage in an activity, particularly a pleasurable activity, and particularly if it involves repetition and intense focus, our brains alter themselves so that they'll be better and more efficient at doing that activity the next time. But this brain process can also be overwhelmed by what's referred to as a supernormal stimulus, an exaggerated form of what's normal. Pornography, for example, can take our brain's natural stimuli, our desire for intimacy and connection, and give us more quantity, more exaggerated, and more supernormal versions of that desire. 34 Through the neuroplastic process, porn can change what we perceive as normal, warp what we find exciting, and make real intimacy seem less interesting by comparison. 35 These changes in our expectations can have tremendous implications for how we view others and how we view relationships.